just act. You can whisper behind my back. You can show me how the odds are up against me all day long. But I've been through the fire and come out alive, and there's no more fear in my eyes. Oh, now I'm rising, and you can't bring me down. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. And my feet have come too far for you to tie them to the ground. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at. They turn it back around. You can't stop me.
Hi, this is Aeson. How can I help you? Gods, it has been that type of week all fucking week. And we have literally said that 250,000 times this week.
Wow, honey.
Well, what?
I think we just end the show there, and thank you for coming. And
No. It was
Aeson is done.
No,
Done.
Aeson isn't done. Aeson is erratically pissed off, but he isn't done.
Oh no!
Rarely do I get done until I'm done.
Well, now, if what you're pissed off about is, the video doesn't look like it's going out to two different places, I can confirm one of them is actually working.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about the other one. I think it's the break room. Like, if you're in the break room, say hi.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be going out to the break room.
Yeah, it popped up when it tried to start. And, yeah, so I'm not sure if it's going to two places. Oh, dear. Do we need to pull me out or pull you out?
Yes, I need to go out and come back.
Okay. All right. So while he takes care of that, we were supposed to have a guest tonight. So I'm hopeful that may be the guest trying to get into the show. And it looks like it may be. So we'll be back in a few moments with that guest, hopefully. As soon as Aeson gets that worked out. But yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely been a week. It's definitely been a struggle. We know that Valentine's Day was yesterday. And, of course, as you all know, for any psychic, that is a, hell day. There's no nice way to put that. That is a lot of calls. Everything from will he propose to why didn't he, or why didn't he even call, or why am I single now? Or how can I not be single? So, yeah, it's definitely... Oh, there he is.
Yes, and our
Good,
guest
my
is
rambling
here.
skills
Everything's
are
pulling
failing
itself
this week.
together. I've got to do some link sharing. But, it has been a very, very busy week. It has been a very, very crazy week for me. As I told one person I was communicating with, that this was my Super Bowl meets Black Friday time of the year, and that, when this occurs, I do nothing but work. I don't clean house. I don't schedule. My planner is laying here in shambles, guys. But this is probably the highest time for some stuff, and we got some news, and I want you to talk about it for a minute while I do some PRing. Supposedly TikTok, Instagram, everything is going to be possibly banning me.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. All right, I'll let you go get some link PR sharing done.
Yes.
All right. So, yeah, let me pull you down. All right. So, yeah. So, the joyful fun of TikTok and Facebook and all these lovely places is a large part of their money that comes in is built around ad revenue. And one of the things we've been seeing and we've been talking about on the show is the fact that we see a lot of our communities, both the pagan community and the witch talk and the LGBTQ communities, Basically every minority community having issues right now.
Yeah. Honey,
Welcome
you didn't
back.
need to pull me down. I just needed to be
Oh,
not talking. I can't type and
sorry.
talk.
Okay, sorry. I thought you needed a minute. So yeah, so there's the joyful fun of that. Of seeing these communities falling further and further down the algorithm, often to the point of obscurity and invisibility. We've talked about that. It's quite the pain in the butt. Now we've seen from Facebook, they are actually looking at reducing the ability to target certain communities, and I put those words in air quotes, as has about everyone. And of course, those certain communities involve religious preference, sexual orientation. Like you get the theme here. In addition to like public figures, etc. So if you're following any of what would typically be the marketing criteria for, say, like West Virginia Pagan Pride or Central West Virginia Pagan Pride, or you know any of the LGBTQ prides, that's no longer going to be something that you can specifically target your audience as a page to advertise to. Of course, this creates massive problems for small groups. Facebook says they're doing it to protect these communities. We're sitting there going, what's the fastest way to basically kick minority communities off your platform? It's not by actually going after them, it's by reducing their ability to easily reach out to other members of their community that would be interested in their events, while simultaneously pushing them down the algorithm. So
Right.
it looks like quite the squeeze play coming from Facebook.
Right, and that's why it's highly important for you guys to like me on YouTube. I'm Aeson Knight on every social media. Make sure you interlink with that, like it, follow it, and then go over to like aesonite.com or pcspnetwork.com and go ahead and jump on that mailing list, because my first newsletter that I've not that have the first newsletter that I've probably released in 3 years is going out March 1st to everybody on my mailing list. We are going back to old school marketing, old school information. Granted, it's 2020, but these social media networks are starting to hamper our efforts. They are starting to push us. Also, if you are part of the West Virginia or Appalachian area, considering yourself a
Mhm.
mountaineer, we own Mountaineer Pagan Nexus. We opened Mountaineer Pagan Nexus community over a year ago because Facebook was shutting and pushing pagans off the page and reducing their safety. Many
Absolutely.
pagans use pseudonyms. That wasn't cool with them. That's perfectly cool with me. I'll call you whatever you want. Come on over to Mountaineer Pagan Nexus. Join the community there. We're going to be ramping up efforts there. I host New Moon and Sabbath chats there. So you guys, if you're listening out, pull it in and push it in. All
Hey,
right.
Shannon, you're not late. You're perfectly on time. And I will also tack on to what Aeson said. This is also a good time to make sure you are following on multiple platforms if you can. All the content creators that you enjoy hearing from, especially if you've recognized they are part of. You may not be seeing as much of them. You may have to seek them out specifically.
Yes, very
Be
much so.
prepared.
Yes. All right, guys. So I have a great guest, Noah, on tonight. I'm going to bring him on. We're going to talk. We're going to do this like we normally do. Once we get done hearing about his wonderful new stuff and his experiences, then we'll come back for Hot Topics and we're going to dive deep into this one.
All right. See you
All
guys
right.
later.
See you later. Have a sip. All right, Noah, how are you?
Hey, son, I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Doing well. How's the book coming?
The book is slow and steady, but it doesn't stop us from putting out courses and content and all that good stuff in the meantime.
Oh, yeah. And, that is a lot of work because, I have a few courses myself. Go into what your courses cover.
So at Feel Good Library, we launched that after we launched our Feel Good Hemp company. And basically I've been a spiritual life and business coach for the last 13 plus years. And I've tried so many techniques. Hopefully you don't hear my 5-month-old crying in the other room. I don't want that
Well,
on the
honey, if I do,
broadcast.
she's only wanting to jump into the interview too, so that ain't no big deal.
It's a little
Bring
late
her
at
on
night for her.
over.
This is the witching hour.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I've been a spiritual life and business coach for 13 years, helped people achieve all kinds of things. And I'm sure we'll get into the story about my father and what we did there. So really, we just took all the good stuff that works and makes a difference for people, and made a difference for my clients and myself, put out mini courses on all of it and gave it away at thefeelgoodlibrary.com. And my wife, who's a yoga teacher and a sound healer and a sound healing goddess, she put out meditations and sound healings and guided meditations and things like that on there too.
So with the Feel Good Library in general, it's kind of an information station.
Definitely. It's exactly like what it sounds. It's a library full of mini courses that can give you tools, techniques, mindsets, and things you can utilize to feel good naturally. That's really what my companies are all about, is helping people to feel good naturally.
Well, one of your companies, the hemp company, has gone through a lot when we start looking at the hemp industry in itself. Absolutely. You want to talk about that a minute?
Oh, for sure. So we founded Feel Good Hemp after using hemp oil as part of the protocol that we used to save my dad's life from a death sentence. They gave him 3 months to live. He had a tumor on his liver about the size of a football. Stage 4 liver cancer. They didn't give him a treatment plan. They gave him 3 months to live. And we actually were able to have him completely cancer-free in 4 months. And that was over 4 years ago. You're looking frozen on my screen. Can you still hear me all right?
I can still hear you fine. It may look frozen on ours, and it's because we're broadcasting out to so many locations.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
It's a really cool platform you got going here. So what's up, everybody, by the way? Nice to meet y'all. So yeah, we reversed my dad's death sentence, and that's why we started the hemp company to begin with. And yeah, I don't know if I even told you guys this, but we've been through everything. I mean, you can't advertise here, you can't advertise there, you can't tell people, you can't make claims about what your product does, even though that's what it does for so many people. Over and over again, people say, "Oh my God, I got this terrible knee pain. I rub your balm on it, the knee pain goes right away." But I can't actually say that on my website, or I could lose my payment processing. I could get fined by the government. It was even so bad at the very beginning, which was early 2018. They had just legalized hemp in the United States. And it took me over 6 months to be able to take a credit card from someone online. Like things that other industries take completely for granted. As a multiple, serial entrepreneur, I never thought that credit card processing would be like my big boulder to lift, right? But that was 6 months of it right there.
It is. Now, which processor did you end up going with?
So actually Square, of all people, big corporate Square, opened up a CBD beta program probably in middle of 2018. And I knew someone over there who told me about it and got me to the front of the line. And it was like a total miracle. I think it's a lot less of a difficult thing to get nowadays. But back then, everyone was super wary.
They're still holding discrimination against anything occult.
Yeah, anything that is counter the agenda of big pharma is what you know. It's all natural medicines. These are what back in the 20s, it was something like 40+% of prescriptions that came out of a doctor's office had cannabis in it somewhere.
Right. And see, that was the big thing, and that was a big trouble because everyone talks about hemp and cannabis and how evil that was and all this back then. It wasn't a thing there. What it really was your paper companies, your rope making companies.
100%. It's all just politics and big business. Pharma.
Yeah.
And now it's big pharma because now that leading edge science is isolating so many of the unique cannabinoids, which is basically THC, CBD, those are different cannabinoids. And the hemp plant has at least 114, if not more, of these different
Right.
cannabinoids. And the ones that are less available, just like every 2 months, every 3 months, they're figuring out processes to isolate these compounds and to extract them in larger quantities, in which case you can then actually do things with them. And certain of these compounds are better for sleep, and certain are better for pain, and certain are better for neurogenesis. And they're doing these studies and finding these things. And it's sort of like there's a whole pharmacy in a single plant. And of course, Big Pharma, who wants to keep you hooked, sick, and on their stuff for life, they don't want you to know that there's actually ways to help the body heal.
Right. It doesn't do them well.
Well, it doesn't make a profit, right? It's, to expand out to other broader categories, it's like, why are we still burning gasoline? Why do our cars essentially look the same and act the same as when they were first invented 100 years ago? Well, it doesn't make certain people profit for us to actually advance our energy technologies and release that, and I don't know how fringe your audience gets and how far down these rabbit holes you want to go.
I've got an international audience, so I've got people that are already enjoying like the bullet trains in France, that are already enjoying the bullet trains in China, that are already totally solar powered houses built by the government for the people,
Right.
So, we have to realize that we are in when we're talking about a lot of this, it's microcosm. The United States is a very weird microcosm if we compare it to like Germany and Italy and the UK, which is my standard for psychic services and a good standard for medical services. And they've been using CBT, and a lot of the derivatives from hemp over there for 20 years now.
Yeah, they also don't give opioids to their patients.
Right.
Which is probably killing more Americans per year now than maybe anything else.
Well, what's weird, and this is what gets me, is I think there's a place for opioids in medicine. I also think that it should be refined opioids. And what we're finding is it's not the people that are prescribed, need it, actually have pain management problems, that type of thing. It's because they're arresting the doctors that were their pain management people, and then they're forced to do what? Suffer in pain or take something off the street.
Right.
And we're right back to a repeat of the 50s, 60s, and 70s in the hemp industry.
Yeah, it's a sticky situation. I think it comes down to across the board, it comes down to, and I think this is happening regardless of how it might appear that it's not. It comes down to taking apart these systems that keep us in pain and constraint. There are people who benefit and profit, like all this war talk right now.
Yeah, gas prices have doubled, and they're still pumping the same amount of stuff they were pumping last week.
Exactly.
2%.
No one wants to go to
gas
war
from Russia.
Nobody wants to see that. Kiev's a beautiful city. I know people who live there. I don't want them to go to war, but Raytheon does. Lockheed Martin does.
Russia does. Russia wants to go to war because their economy is down. Their economy has been down for 2 years. Their stock market is sucking. They need to go to war because it makes them money.
Anyone who goes to war makes money because it kicks everyone into production mode. And, you get to make all these extra goods. And so it's all the same thing. And, to speak of it in the most meta sense, we're in a great awakening right now. And like anyone who's in a bad relationship, what happens right before you get out of that bad relationship? Well, it gets really bad, and you realize how bad it is, and you acknowledge how bad it is, and it suddenly seems even worse than when you were hiding from how bad it is. And it's the worst it ever is, and then it ends. And then there's transformation, and then there's freedom, and then there's an opening. And that's what humanity is going through right now. We are at the end of a very bad relationship with a lot of power structures that do not serve where the awakened, profitable, just prosperous and free society that we're moving into, that's coming into creation. From a yogic perspective, they talk about the yugas, or they're just kind of like ages. And we are in the age of Aquarius, very much so. And we are in an enlightening time. And there are times of darkening and times where the The point of the change is to get denser and with more suffering and more pain on this plane, on this earth. But that's not the time we're in right now. We are in a great awakening right now. We are going nowhere but up.
In that vibrational level. If I'm familiar enough, and I'm not, because this is just a little area I've touched on. We're moving into a higher vibration, a more feminine energy vibration.
Absolutely.
In feminine leaders making the ways. Now, granted, we have what I call some frontliners, like Queen Elizabeth, who has already been shown it. The Queen of Holland already been shown that she ain't putting up with shit either. If we look at Australia's prime minister right now, her and the former prime minister of Germany, both of them could kick anybody's ass. I'd love to see them, show our presidents a few things to do. Everyone thinks that I'm total Democrat. No, I'm total about who's doing the job. And we're seeing a lot of corporate greed going on here lately.
Oh yeah, from both sides. And to speak to that feminine energy too, it can also be the awakened feminine in a masculine body, right? So Paramahansa Yogananda, who wrote the Autobiography of a Yogi, which is a book that George Harrison from the Beatles always had a stack of, was always handing out to people. It's sort of like the gateway drug, so to speak, to like spiritual realization and what like the yogic masters have been able to achieve in a human body and what's possible for humanity. And in that book, Yogananda talks about how the perfected human is literally 50% masculine and 50% feminine, whether it's in a male body or a female body, it doesn't matter. So when I'm holding my 5-month-old and I'm playful and I'm light and I'm spontaneous and I'm carefree and I'm joyous and I'm spacious, that's me and my feminine, right? And then when I'm running paid traffic campaigns to my website and I'm optimizing conversions and I'm doing these rigid and structured and organized and disciplined things, like that's me and my masculine. And I think that what we've seen, they like to call it toxic masculinity. I don't know if I really love that phrase because
I don't like it either.
It puts too much. It makes people go like, oh, look, like that's toxic masculinity. Like he's got muscles and he just flexed them. Like, no, that's not what toxic masculinity is. Toxic masculinity is like a myopic focus on the masculine energy at all costs without the balance and harmony that the feminine brings to it. And you could have toxic femininity where there's this myopic focus on the feminine energy without the balancing force that the masculine brings to it, right? Like, I don't know how we got so down this rabbit hole, but just one last thing.
Honey, we'll go down rabbit holes. Welcome to the coffee shop. We talk about a lot, and we talk about everything you're doing and getting everything
I love
about
it, man. It's a great format.
Yeah, and that's because, and I recently had a guest, and they said, well, I'm not psychic. Do I fit on your show? And I'm like, yeah, come sit at the table. Let's have a conversation. Let's get into what we're doing. You got a book coming out. You've got the Feel Good Library. We've got CBD oil that's looks to be higher quality and higher dose than what is normally out there. What's the deal here?
Yeah, so I'll give it to you guys.
What's your process different?
It isn't. And I'm probably the only CBD company owner out there who would say that. Now, there is standards of quality, and we adhere to all of them to make a high-quality product. But every other CBD company out there is going to say, ours is the best. We got the best. Ours is the best stuff. And it's really just they don't know anything better to say about what they got going on, for the most part. Right? There are some people who are doing some really advanced things and leading edge in different kinds of processes. But for the most part, what you're looking for is a simple product, meaning that it doesn't have a bunch of extra stuff in it, like a CBD soda or CBD gummy bears with like sugar and chemicals and additives. Ditch that junk. You want a simple product. You want it to come from organic hemp grown in the USA, right? You want it to be full spectrum. And what that means is it's got the other cannabinoids, at least a little bit in it, right? So it's not just CBD isolate. The difference is like getting your vitamin C from an orange or getting your vitamin C from a capsule that's isolated, right? You get a better result in your body from full spectrum or from eating that orange. Same thing with full spectrum CBD. You're going to get a better healing and beneficial effect to your body from doing a full spectrum oil. And then it should be in a high absorption material like MCT oil or olive oil. And it should have a certificate of analysis, is called. So a COA. What that means is widely publicly available lab results that show that this thing is the dosage it says it is tested for heavy metals and fungal content and all that kind of stuff to be clean and pure and quality, right? So if you find a product that has good quality absorption material, made from hemp grown in the USA, full spectrum, quality ingredients, and has a lab report out there so you can verify. You know, the FDA did this study and saw that something like 83% of CBD products they tested were not what they said they were, right? So if you look for those things, you've got a quality product. Now, what I'll say though is that a lot of people, they try CBD and they go like, it didn't really do much for me, because oftentimes they're grabbing that CBD soda that's got, 10 milligrams of CBD in it, or they're grabbing some CBD sleep solution that has like 12 milligrams of CBD per serving, plus like valerian root and lavender. And so it like looks really fancy. But what I say is that for the typical person, an actual effective dose of CBD is going to be about 30 milligrams. If you're someone who thinks you're highly sensitive, maybe you would start more at like 15 milligrams. But for the average folk, 30 milligrams. And then there's people who take more than that, right? The reason I bring that up, though, is because so many people, they try a product that's got 10 milligrams and it doesn't do anything, and then they just kind of write it off.
Right. And that's because a lot of people, I know, unless you're searching out CBD, like when I tried CBD, it's grab the stuff at the gas station, grab the stuff at the head shop.
Right.
And I'm like, this is nothing. That was a cute gummy bear, is actually the comment I had. And went on. I mean, there was no effects to it. And, this is different than your gas station stuff. This is different than, the stuff you're going to grab at the head shop. Most likely, because most head shops are not going to invest in high quality products because this isn't what they sell it.
Yeah. And, part of it too is to have the right expectation going in. Like if you want to get high, grab some ganja and smoke it, right? If you want to get lifted, CBD is not your substance. Most people, when they take it for the first time, they're feeling like a whole body relaxation, an anti-inflammatory effect. I would say 80% of my clients get relaxed and calm. 20%, for some reason, when they're taking it for the first time, they get more energized, actually. And the only explanation I'd come up with that is that they're reducing inflammation in the body and they're liberating extra energy that their body was using to fight inflammation.
Actually, I got a comment on that one.
Oh,
I would love to know how many of those 20% are ADHD.
Oh, that's an interesting thing. I'll have to ask the next time I hear that and be like, hey, so you got the ADHD then? Be like,
yeah, and here's why. It's because with the ADHD brain wiring, you can give them Benadryl and they will bounce off the wall. You can give them, most ADHD clients I get in when I'm coaching and stuff, I'll go, okay, so what's your coffee intake a day? And they're like, 1-2 cups. The doctor tells me not to drink that much. So go up to 1 pot of coffee a day, and suddenly they can focus. Suddenly they got their same mindset. Suddenly they got everything together. And I'm like,
that makes a lot of sense because, like Ritalin, or what's the one that all the college kids take? I forgot, but it's like for studying, Adderall, right?
Adderall.
That's one guy, a chemist I knew, said that Adderall is like a couple molecules away from methamphetamine. He's
like 2.
Yeah, it's pretty much meth, right? So, but they take that to calm down. So that does make sense, actually.
Right. So, looking at that, I wouldn't be surprised that 20% you find is totally ADHD. And it's like, okay, this is going to cause you to get hyper. So this is what you need to do. And this is how you use
drink a pot of coffee with your CBD.
Forget drink a pot of coffee with it. Let's get a new product rolling here. CBD coffee. I mean, it's in everything from lube up. I don't understand why they've not made CBD coffee yet.
I bet you find it somewhere. Someone's got it. I've seen every variation from bath bombs to whatever. We keep it real. We have soft gels, we have a tincture, and we have a balm. If you want to rub it on, you want to drop it under your tongue, or you don't like that, you want to just pop down a capsule. That's what we roll with, because we're really, the other thing I'll say about CBD is, most people don't know that it's an essential nutrient in the body, not CBD specifically, but cannabinoids. So there's this endocannabinoid system, right? It's throughout our whole body, and there's receptors in every major organ, receptors in our bones, in our muscles. And when these receptors receive cannabinoids like CBD or others, it basically regulates the harmony of that system, right? So if you have a good amount of cannabinoids in your system, your body's working in greater harmony. It's reducing all the inflammation. It's a whole body anti-inflammatory, right? And this is so natural to us that literally, a lot of people don't know this, literally cannabinoids are passed in mother's breast milk to the baby, right? That's how essential of a nutrient this is. So a lot of people think of CBD as like, oh, I want to get extra relaxed, or oh, I want to go to sleep. And that's fine. It helps people go to sleep. It helps people lose weight. It helps people reduce pain or remove pain, all those things. But I think of CBD as just a great nutrient for optimal wellness, right? Like I take it like how I think about taking vitamin D3 or B12 or some of these other things that are maybe harder to find in our food nowadays that help the body function great. You know, I take CBD every night because I'm just doing the sort of the pre-work instead of waiting for everything to fall apart and be like, oh no, there's a huge problem. I got Crohn's or I got whatever. I just use it as a preventative essentially. And so I feel like people don't usually come at it with that mindset. It's like people aren't out there educating on that. They are more thinking of it like how you think of ganja. Like, hey, I want to have a good time. I want to get lifted or elevated, or I want to change my state. So let's try that CBD. I've heard about it, but you know, like I take 30 milligrams every night. Doesn't really do anything to me anymore. But I notice it if I stop taking it for, you know, a couple weeks and my cannabinoid system sort of starts to run a little bit drier on how much cannabinoids it has in the body. Then I'll start to notice like, oh, I got a little sciatic pain going on again. Oh, where's that? Oh, I haven't been taking my CBD. And then I start taking it again and I don't have those things.
So what about those that have to go through testing, random testing? How is the industry, well, how is your company dealing with that? Are you, that THC problem? Or, how can people get around that if they have to do random drug testing? They're taking CBD, they're not doing the ganja. What's going on with that now? So,
full disclosure, I haven't researched this in the last 6 months, so I don't know if things have changed. But here's what I know is that they have seen cases where even people who are taking CBD isolate, where it has literally 0%, 0.000% THC in it, they've seen cases where people taking CBD isolate have somehow shown up positive on a drug test for THC. And so I just caution everyone to proceed at your own risk. None of our products are THC free because they have 0.2%. They're federally legal in all 50 states.
Right.
They have 0.2% THC in them, which is nothing that's going to get anyone high, but it does contribute to that entourage effect of the full spectrum. Right? It helps it have a more medicinal impact on the body. And then for people who need to take that isolate, the reason I don't bother to sell an isolate is because I don't actually believe that you're necessarily totally safe just by taking an isolate. Because we have heard of these cases and the science is still out. So I would say proceed with caution and decide what's most important to you. If CBD is really adding to your quality of life, it's taking away major pain. I just got interviewed by a woman who got diagnosed with Crohn's disease, was bedridden in pain, and within 5 days, she was actually using a CBD suppository, and there's 100 milligrams of CBD straight up the pooper, and and 5 days in, no pain, all her symptoms go away, and she's still positive for Crohn's because apparently that's one of those diseases that they say is just you have it forever, but she doesn't have any symptoms of it anymore, and all it took was a week of a reasonable dose of CBD treatment for her to get there. So, if she's the person who is dealing with the potentiality of being drug tested, well, you got to decide, do I want to have Crohn's?
I think if you go in there and you take your bottle that you're going to get, because it isn't some crappy brown bottle that looks a little sketchy. It's a nice labeled full-size bottle, has all the information on it, has all the federal approval on it, and say, yes, I'm taking this out the gate. They're going to look at it and go, oh, okay, well, before you even, when you do the drug test, oh, yeah, it shows that he's taking CBD.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that's confusing is that we've seen THC come positive in people taking high doses of CBD or even moderate doses of CBD. Now, this is only, there's so little science on it. This is just like hearsay almost at this point. But that's why I tell everyone to proceed with caution, because I can't give you that guarantee. And if it hinders your life in some other way, then I can't be responsible for that. So
no, you can't be. And that's why I'm like, I'll tell you how to do this. This is called Be Honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be honest.
I take a large amount of pain medicine. If I have to go and take a test, I'll walk in with my level of medicine and go, here you go. Have fun checking them off your list.
Right. And hopefully your employer has common sense, right? Because there seems to be a lacking of that in certain areas of the world right now. And so, you know, if they're like, these are rules are rules, well, you probably need a better job and a better employer anyway, right? Unless it's unless you're deep in the U.S. government and that's how they're being, then, you know, what can I say?
Actually, that's where we're not seeing a lot of problems at. What we're seeing a lot of problems at is these little state governments that are pains in the asses.
Oh,
want to act like little mini Italies. But so let's talk about some government regulations and some paperwork crap, because my industry is going through it. Your industry has been going through it. Let's swap some war stories here. It took you 6 months to be able to take a credit card. It took me 15 years to be able to take a credit card.
Wow.
So how was that process? How did you work that process?
Well, it was an everyday affair, and literally it didn't open up until Square themselves opened up. But I'll tell you a recent fun one that we got to go through. So it now says on every one of my labels, it now says, do not exceed 70 milligrams in a 24-hour period. And the funny thing about that is that when my dad was healing his liver cancer, he was probably taking about, I want to say, 500 to 750 milligrams a day. About damn near 10x of what I have to say on my bottle you should not exceed in a 24-hour period. And it sucks because, like the story I just shared, that woman with the Crohn's, she's taking 100 milligrams every night. And so I have to put it on my bottle because I had to put it on my bottle. And that's how I can still sell this bottle. And I'll tell anyone listening, though, that you take what feels right for you. If you take 30 and it helps you feel right, great. 60, great. 90, great. 120, great. You know, the only thing that could ever happen that's an issue is that if you're on certain drugs, the kinds of drugs that say don't eat your grapefruit with this drug, the reason why it says that is because you have these certain enzymes in your liver that are going to be used to process the drug, whatever pharmaceutical it is, like statins or whatever. And grapefruit and digesting that will sort of take up the same bandwidth of those enzymes from your liver. And so it can cause toxicity from your medication. So the only thing that can happen is you might need to say, okay, well, I take those medicines in the morning, I take my CBD at night, right? But other than that, this arbitrary milligram dosage that I have to have on all my products now, it's just that. It's just more regulation and more red tape, and I got to do the song and dance to play along. For the same reason why I can't say, even on my website, CBD may help you with pain or anxiety or all these things that people come and buy.
Or,
exactly. Depression, weight loss, pain, anxiety. I mean, I even had a friend whose dad was starting to have early onset dementia and Alzheimer's. So he buys a bottle of our stuff, sends it over to him. He gets a phone call the next day from his dad. And he says, hey, thanks for that. He's like, I slept great. He's like, and I didn't tell you this, but every night while I was going to sleep for the last little bit, I've been hearing the sound of a train running down the tracks inside my head. And that went away too. And he's like, Dad, why aren't you telling me this stuff? But also great, like wherever your body needs the cannabinoids the most, that's where the weakest link is where it's going to go. So if your cannabinoid system is dry, the weakest link goes first. So some people have, dementia, early onset, Alzheimer's, and those kinds of problems starting. Some people got arthritis. My grandma's 95 years old with CBD twice a day. She has a quality of life. Without it, she has arthritis throughout her whole freaking body, and she's a sweet Jewish lady from New York. So she's always telling me, Noah, I love the CBD. Thank you so much. Send it again.
Yeah. So, you've gone through that. What other regulations do you have to put up with?
I mean, it's constant, man. It's not my expertise. It's not my forte. I'm not the guy who wants to read the latest legal press releases. I pay people to keep me informed. I pay people to keep my labels up to code, because at the end of the day, I'm just about giving the good stuff to the people and helping people get things that help them feel good. Like, that's my mission in life, is to be awesome at that. And so, the government's going to do what they're going to do. The regulations are going to change. I think it's going to keep opening up. I've seen what's happened with psychedelics, for example, and the wave of support that's coming behind them from Silicon Valley and high-level entrepreneurs and investors, and multiple states legalizing entheogens, meaning like ayahuasca, iboga, psilocybin mushrooms, mescaline or peyote. Like, they're all being, there's multiple states that have legalized all of that. So like I said, we're in an awakening period. Yeah, there's a stupid thing on my label right now. Maybe in 5 years it'll be gone, and they'll just be like, hey, we were just trying to let Big Pharma get in on the action, and we couldn't stop the wave of goodness that wanted to take over this world. So say what you want.
You've got the free platform that's a very extensive platform. I mean, there's classes on increasing your awareness and yoga and, environment for success, true, total emotional reset. But how'd you get into this? Like, you're dating the yoga goddess. We get that. But how did you get into, running the Feel Good Library, running the hemp company? Where did that all start at?
So I never thought I was going to start a hemp company. In fact, I have multiple multi-millionaire entrepreneur friends who've been in the hemp business in one way, shape, or form. And I was always like, that's great. I'm so happy for you. And I was doing my thing. I've always been a sort of coach, thought leader, influencer, I guess, before they even called it that, right? Putting out YouTube videos in 2008. They didn't call you an influencer yet. I don't like that title, but I've always been a person who's obsessed with learning, experimenting with the self, and then teaching what works to others. And so that's what I was doing. And I was doing it so well that multiple other thought leaders and, people with books and coaching programs and platforms of their own, they started asking me to do their marketing. So I built a marketing company called Om Marketing Group. And I was doing all these thought leaders marketing, helping them all make multi-millions. And then I decided, I'm helping all these people do this, and it's a lot of work. Like, I got this big team, it's constant demands. Let me just go sell a course on how to do this so I can stop doing it. And I don't think the divine plan was in order for that one, because we just spent all our ad budget, all our team budget. We just destroyed that company literally overnight. In a month's time, we spent through all of our cash reserves. The program didn't take off, even though I was doing it on such a high level for other people. It wasn't my destiny. It wasn't my calling, right? So I'm down on my knees with an empty bank account, rent to pay that I'm not sure how to pay, living in LA. And then I get the call that, hey, Noah, your dad's really sick. You got to get down to San Diego. And he had the stage 4 cancer diagnosis. So I had a couple personal clients work with me, and I just kind of said, you know what? I'm not going to rush to go rebuild my business or to find out what's next. I'm just going to focus on doing what I can with what I have and with what's in front of me. And I'm just going to surrender all that stuff for right now. And I'm going to help my dad. So my wife and I, we downsized and moved to this quaint, nice enough, but crummy apartment down in San Diego. And we just got to work. We weren't just giving him the hemp oil protocol. We were also, a large part of the protocol was vegetable juicing, specifically with a lot of beets and carrots, because they're good for the liver. And my dad needed to rebuild his liver. So I was literally buying beets by the case from the grocery store, like having the grocer go in the back and freaking come out with a box full of beets for me to shuck and chop and juice. And we were dropping 40 ounces a day of fresh veggie juice over at his house. And so, we got him well, and woohoo, big win. And then, because we were now familiar with the hemp oils, my wife was holding a sound bath, and we decided, hey, let's just bring CBD capsules with us. for $10 more, people can get a dose at the door. It's like an upsell to the sound bath, right? So probably 60-70% of the people bought it. And it was just the most peaceful and dropped in sound bath we had ever done. We could just feel the peace in the room, right? And at the end, we're like, hey, we got some extra of these capsules. If you guys want them, 2 for 1. And we sold out of everything in a minute, right? And the next morning, my wife, who loves to sleep in, loves to just snuggle in bed, she pops out of bed at 8 in the morning. She's like, I can't sleep. Like, let's get up. And we're sitting on the porch having a matcha. We're up in Topanga Canyon looking off at the mountains. And she's just like, I think we should start a CBD business. And I'm like, absolutely, great idea. She was the muse of the project for sure. And that's how we got started. And it was very humble. Our first products went out in like hand labeled jars with little stickers on them. And I remember like we sent our first package in the mail maybe like 2 weeks before it got fully federally legalized. So I remember being so nervous, like practicing. I'm not a good liar. So it's like I'm practicing what I'm going to say to the person when they ask me what's in the package at the post office. Like it's supplements, it's vitamins, right? But that's how we got started, man. And from there, we attracted a small investor and later a bigger investor and just kind of took off from there. And then the Feel Good Library is really that, I couldn't just sit there giving out CBD and doing what every other company does where they say, CBD is a magic bullet. It's going to solve all your problems and we have the best one. I knew that from my training as a coach and from all that I had done with people, that there are a lot of layers to a human. Right? We have a mental body, an emotional body, a physical body. You might want to call it a physical body, an aura, or your astral body, and then your causal body, your universal self, right? Your cosmic consciousness. And there's all these layers of the being. There's a lot of different models that have lots of different, ways of describing these different layers, but there are multiple layers to our being. And yeah, you can take CBD to get rid of the pain you have in your wrist, or you can also uncover the limiting belief that's been lodged in you since you were, 12 about something. And then that's actually the root cause of the pain in your wrist. And I see that kind of stuff all the time. Like the physical body, we think of ourselves primarily as that, but we are actually an energetic body first and a physical body last, right? That's our densest self. And it feels the most real because we got our 5 senses telling us this is physical. But what modern science and ancient mystics all know is that this thing is an illusion. It is 99.9% empty space. It's a vibrational pattern of energy interacting in electromagnetic fields. You are not a freaking body, right? And you're not a mind. You are something much greater than that. And you can look at the scientific studies of near-death experiences and people leaving their body and having their experience of oneness consciousness return to them, having their great forgetting end and having them remember who they really truly are, and then coming back to tell us about it. And there's thousands of these documented stories and they all sound pretty damn similar, right? Whatever way you want to look at it is a fact that we are more than a body and more than a mind. And so I wouldn't be doing this project justice if I didn't offer complementary techniques and approaches to supporting the whole being of our clients.
So let's talk success stories, because we can't talk about the benefit of the product, but we can talk about your success stories. What your clients experienced?
I mean, we've got them all, man. I've got people who take it for Crohn's, like I mentioned with that person who just interviewed me, and their symptoms subside and they're not undiagnosed with the thing. Like my dad still technically in the modern medical world has liver cancer. He's just been completely cancer-free for 4+ years and is the healthiest person with liver cancer they've ever met. Pain, right? People with knee pain talking about getting knee surgeries, talking about I've had this knee pain for 9 months and it's getting in the way of surfing now and I can't have that. My father-in-law is an everyday surfer and his surf buddies all use our balm and use our tincture to just deal with aches and pains. My grandmother, who's 95 and lives on this stuff, she has whole body pain when she doesn't take it, and then she doesn't when she does, right? So all kinds of things. Even people are talking about it, especially with all this COVID stuff and all this inflammatory response of the lungs. They call it the Cytokine Storm. There's preliminary research out there to show that CBD and being well nourished in your endocannabinoid system can even prevent or reduce those kinds of responses from the body and help with what's going on with people in that world. So I mean, we've got it all from it helps me sleep at night. I take this, I sleep like a rock. I wake up feeling like $1,000,000. We have people who take it to manage their diabetes better and who are on less insulin because they've used CBD to help their body naturally reduce its inflammation, naturally manage its blood sugar better. Everything just functions better when you have the right amount of cannabinoids in your body. So I think it's really important to say that the true miracle is not CBD itself. The true miracle is the endocannabinoid system in our body, which science only discovered in the early 90s. And it's this harmony center of the body. Now, we just happen to use CBD as a great way to fill and nourish that cannabinoid system because it's widely available and super beneficial and has all these things from pain to sleep to anxiety reduction, all that going on. But yeah, I think that's worth bringing up because, again, I never want to position CBD as a magic bullet. I really want people to understand that it's a great supplement for optimal wellness, and really, truly, our bodies are the miracle and you are the healer.
Right. Very much so. And you guys, that is, again, the feelgoodlibrary.com. And if they want to go directly for your products, like they're not interested in the courses, they want the products, where do they go?
feelgoodhemp.org.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Noah, for coming on, and I'll catch you again later.
Awesome, Aeson. Well, thanks for having me, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. All right, guys, let's take a sip. Okay.
There we are.
Interesting.
Yes. I was enjoying that one so much I didn't even realize you were about to switch me out. I was just hanging out over here doing my graphics, listening to the talk about CBD. And yeah, like a lot of things going on there. No, very, very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah. So, Jade, yes, I am taking readings tonight. I do need your name, your birth date, and your question. Go check out the Feel Good Library. It looks like there's a lot of courses there, a lot of information. And he's got a lot of information. And of course, his CBD looks very high quality. It's a lot better than what we've seen. So there's been a lot of things going on in the news. There's a lot of scuttlebutt going on in the news. What do you want to tackle first?
Well, now, before we jump into that, I do want to say, like, that's been probably, like, the weirdest part about CBD for me. Has been, like, the places that have carried it and promoted it and sold it and etc. Like, it's been, like, some of the places, it's like, I don't want to buy from there. So I do have to say, I'm kind of liking the, let's get it out of like the porn stores and the, like the gas stations, like and into more like high. Yeah. That's a place I would consider buying something that I'm going to take as a supplement for my body. Like, that's the part that's weirded me out for the longest time, is it's like I had that problem like when people first started taking it, and I'm like, really? Like,
well, and I think he really addressed it. We glossed over it, but he really addressed it. Is that it is? There we go. Oh, got your name back on.
Yeah, I'm identified.
That it's really is a dosing issue, and that's what I thought it was.
Oh yeah, well, there's definitely that. But, and then there's the quality of product and all that. But I'm just like, you want to buy stuff for your body from the same place that, like, they sell the spice fake stuff shit that got everyone all, like, zombie crazy? Like, that's been my biggest problem. Yeah, that's been my biggest problem is, like, like K2 and spice and the CBD gummies. Like, I don't know that's a good life choice. So I'm really liking the fact that, like, CBD at least is starting to get, like, some quality control, some better people into the mix that are selling it, and it's going through channels that make more sense now.
Right. and good suppliers. That's the importance with a lot of things. Always having a good, reputable supplier, and we found that in other products that we use personally. It's like, this is crap. This is real. They look the same, but they're not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no, those are things that really, like, I don't know, maybe it's me moving into my 40s. I'm not there yet. I'm almost there. I jumped the hump this year, okay? So let me have my last 5 minutes of 30s. But as I'm moving into my 40s, it's kind of like, you do start to have that moment of like, where has this been?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did you versus like your 20s when it's, like I saw a TikToker recently making fun of the whole like age dichotomy, where it's like in your 20s, you'll like, do a keg stand and, the 50 dudes have had their mouth on the tube. And, like, you just don't care. It's like,
right.
Woo! And then you start moving towards your 40s and it's like, excuse me. Can I get the, bottled water that's been ethically sourced and like make good life choices? Just saying, it's part of living.
It is.
This is with me. But alrighty, so moving into fun topics.
Let's move into the Wendy Williams topic.
Oh,
I was
my
telling
God.
you about this.
I know. I'm still
sending you a article in private.
Oh,
I just realized I've got like a list of post-it notes over here that didn't make it to your desk.
Oh, good, because that's always helpful.
Yes.
But that's okay. That's cool. We'll work around it. Ooh, interesting. So her lawyer also repped her ex? Damn. Lawsuits make for strange bedfellows, I'll say that. So LaShawn Thomas, the attorney representing Wendy Williams, is in the fight over her finances with Wells Fargo, also represents the talk show host's ex-husband, Kevin Hunter. Yeah. But doesn't see that as a conflict of interest. Anyway. Yeah. So, oh, goodness. All right. So I'm trying to get there. Oh, that was actually, I think, just... Yeah. I'm trying to get there. All right. So give us the rundown on what the situation is, because I'm not getting...
So basic situation is, Wells Fargo has took it upon themselves to decide that Wendy Williams is incapable of managing her money and are petitioning the courts to place her under a guardianship.
Yeah, that's a little frightening.
That's the main news story. Oh my goodness, Wendy Williams needs the guardianship. When we start unwinding this, we find out that the person making the claims is the financial advisor Wendy Williams fired from representing her financial profile with Wells Fargo. It's scary.
That's a really screwed up use of like power there. Like you should have the you should have the ability to fire your financial advisor without necessarily having to worry about this.
Right.
Now, I mean, here's the thing though. I think regarding Wendy Williams, a lot of people have been like, is she okay?
No, she isn't. She's facing one. She has Graves' disease, which is destructive on the body. She has a thyroid condition. That's the only way you can get Graves' disease. And then she's long-term COVID.
Yeah. So she's had a lot going on. And then there's been, some addiction and recovery. There's she's had a lot.
Yeah, but she's been very public with all that. And then we have her going through problems health-wise. We're seeing people that were totally functional, totally, running marathons, get COVID, get long-haul COVID, and they're bedridden.
Yeah. So I mean, part of me is sitting here going, but where's the line? Because we looked at the Britney thing.
Mm-hmm.
We've been all up in the Britney thing.
Right.
And I think we're all on the same page that
Right.
Britney never should have been in a conservatorship. Maybe she temporarily needed someone with a power of attorney to make some payments while she was doing rehab and getting her shit together. But then again, how much of that shit could she have avoided, but not for her father? That's a whole question for another episode.
Right.
But now with Wendy Williams, I will say, she's had some moments that I think have been a little more what's going on? Does she need, I don't think she needs this level of intervention.
No.
At all.
And again, what she needs is a business manager and an accountant, a financial advisor. She has this account alone has $7 million in it.
Yeah.
Or did the last time she was able to look at statements had $7 million in this one. I'm quite sure, like any other intelligent person, they have bank accounts elsewhere.
Right.
So she makes the decision to fire her financial advisor. Gee, I change my financial advisors quite often. When they aren't doing what I want, when their stocks aren't performing, fire them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think this is kind of insane.
Yeah.
That they're they flat out just rolled straight into refusing to allow her to access her own accounts. Now, reportedly, there was also concern that she was being unduly influenced.
Yes.
Now, what else do we know on that one?
We don't know anything about this undue influence other than she decided to fire her financial advisor.
Yeah.
So we have Wells Fargo that then freezes her accounts, which Wells Fargo has been known to have problems with, I don't know, managing customer accounts, opening accounts, and multiple accounts in people's names, in the same person's names. Like they got hit heavily with the feds before. Okay.
Yeah. Wells Fargo's had some issues.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really struggling with this one as well. Because I mean, granted,
and see, the bank is quoting that they're only doing this because their regulator thing, which isn't regulated, it's not federally regulated. But, it made a statement about if you suspect one of your elderly customers is under undue influence, you should report it. They've taken a step forward. They froze her accounts. She sent out payroll and it bounced.
Ooh.
You have $7 million in the bank and your housekeeper's check bounces. There's a problem.
Oh, there's a serious problem at that point. I mean, this is definitely feeling a lot like a squeeze play and a giant middle finger. And I don't argue that. I do argue. Well, I guess I question more. I'm still back on, is Wendy Williams okay though? Because on some levels, I would never describe her necessarily as the most responsible adult role model that one can have.
Right.
I mean,
and I think she's okay. She has her health issues that she's been dealing with in Florida. She's mentally fine. She has appointed her son to be her financial power of attorney. They wouldn't accept that. They still wouldn't release the funds. They won't even give her statements.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, they're not even letting her log into the bank.
Yeah, there's a problem. That's, I mean, I can understand if you think a client is potentially in a vulnerable situation and that there could be massive asset loss.
Mm-hmm.
that you may want to try to pump the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
I think guardianship's too far.
Right.
I think that, there should be, maybe there aren't, and that's the problem.
Right.
Better ways to pump the brakes than this.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is pretty much like, okay, well, we don't like your decisions, is what it sounds like on its face. We don't like your decisions. We're not even going to let you know how much money you have, where it's at, what we've done with it. Nothing. Like, we're shutting off your access.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to go one step further and claim that you are an incapacitated, basically an incompetent adult, who needs a guardian. I just have to go with, I think that's too much.
Right. And this is when she decided, this all occurred when she had to file a restraining order, a TOS, demanding the return of her funds, demanding from them to unfreeze her accounts. That's the only time that her lawyers, her legal team heard, or her son's legal team heard about them filing guardianship.
Yeah, that's pretty much retaliation. Like, quite frankly, she should have had every ability to just go in and say, "Hi, I want all my money."
Yeah.
Everyone else does. Now, there are instances where it is legitimate that if you have, and I understand what they're saying, is there has also been a big push that if you are encountering situations, especially because the bank can sometimes be the last, so to speak, line of defense on this, is when you have a customer making really screwy transactions, like they're so totally off the wall, that, like, counseling that customer to understand that you don't have to do this, there's other things we can do, what's the situation, is there another way you can work around that, are you possibly being exploited? Because in many instances we do hear and see of people that get caught up in scams, or get caught up in situations where they're being pressured by, people that shouldn't be taking or exploiting relatives financially, and are forcing them, or at least twisting their arm heavily, or taking advantage of the fact they're on medication or otherwise not in some form of sound mind, sober competency, to exploit that situation for the money. Yeah. Somehow I don't really feel like this is it. Not if there is a lawyer involved who is very much like, we don't know what the hell this is. Like, can you help me understand? Especially not if it goes at the last minute of, like, you want to close your account, go to a competency hearing and fight it there.
Exactly. That's
effectively what they've done.
Yeah.
And now that seems too far.
And, looking at this, we have seen this from stars before. Ew. I don't know if this is how I share on Instagram, but I'm going to copy this and send it to the private room, and you can see if you can tell me for yourself. She posted pictures on Super Bowl. She looking in good spirits there. She looking inside, ready to go party there.
Okay. I mean, I just really struggle with this one. I mean, part of me goes, I'm thinking there's got to be more here. Like, something is more here. Like, something about, like, what, like, either A, they're kind of, like, taking advantage of, like, my first reaction is, well, it is Wendy Williams, let's not be too quick to rush to judgment. Thinking that, they can rock this that way.
Right.
That, no, we're good financial custodians and that's why we're doing this. Because, it's Wendy Williams. versus like, is there a legitimate issue here? And I don't know that there is.
I don't think there
Like,
is.
I
I
just
think there's
can't.
oh my God, they fired her.
I mean, unless there's like video of like her showing up, smeared in shit and like smoking a crack pipe while she's asking all her money. I
Does
don't
that look
think.
like she is,
No,
in bad
no,
spirits? Does that looks like she's having problems?
no, she looks great. I'm just saying, like, unless there is some horrible like video that comes out.
Well, I think there may be some horrible video of her showing her ass.
Oh, I'm sure at the point in which they brought that up, I don't think anyone could really blame her. Right. I'm just saying, unless like the preceding event in which she got into it with this financial advisor is like she's talking to people that aren't there, and like she doesn't understand like basic documents, can't give her date of birth right, like she's just totally like ringing alarm bells all over the place.
Right. But yeah,
unless
they're
there's
even refused to honor Wendy Williams' power of attorney, her only son, Kevin Hunter Jr., which granted him the authority to make requests and inquiries to the bank on the behalf of his mother.
Which should make sense given, like, unless they're saying they just did that. Like, if he's held that for a while, like, if the bank's going to turn around and say you're an incapacitated adult, then you just invoked the ability for the pre-designated power of attorney to step in when someone's incapacitated.
Yeah.
Like,
hello, she has a power of attorney. She probably has multiple power of attorneys. Because if you remember when I bought the car, I had to give the car lot power of attorney to go deal with the car issue.
Well, yeah, but that's a different one.
Right.
Like it's the same. Well, it's similar theory, but different. Like it's a limited power of attorney to perform specific action on your behalf. Then there is a durable financial power of attorney, which I'm assuming is what's being pulled out in this case, or in this situation, which is like, hi, if you're sitting here telling me that my mother is not competent in your eyes to make financial decisions, then read it and weep, motherfucker.
Right.
I'm the next person you go to. So what are you going to claim? I'm also incompetent?
Right.
Like, how many layers do you think you can go?
How many layers can this become a problem? Now, the judge is going to be hearing, I believe it's either today or tomorrow, on the TOS that she's filed.
Oh, the TRS, the temporary
TRS.
Yeah, something tells me this is going to get ugly.
No, I think it's going to get ugly now. Wells Fargo is wanting to seal all the records. Wendy is like, hang it out there, honey. Hang it out. She has hung everything out to dry. She hung her husband out to dry. She has hung, the radio station that she had to sue out to dry. You're telling me that she doesn't want this hung out?
I feel like they're really not understanding who they're messing with.
I don't think they've got a clue.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't know what the hell Wendy Williams could be spending money on that Wendy Williams would be afraid would like damage her reputation.
I don't think so. There's much.
What could she possibly like? I'm sorry, just to be blunt, we know she did drugs. She's been in and out of rehab.
She wrote books about her doing drugs.
Yeah,
and her getting clean.
She's put everything out there. Like, we heard about it when her husband cheated. We heard about it when, like.
Well, what I think is interesting is how she used everyone keeps throwing this. She's been in and out of rehab. Honey, she went to rehab to plan a divorce.
hey, it's a lovely vacation destination.
Well, he was in so much control and, embedded in her life so much. It was the only place she can get to talk to a lawyer alone, talk to, deal with stuff. Because she had to plan her career shot because he was inbred in her career more than you're inbred in mine. I mean,
embedded.
Yeah.
For those of you watching, we are from West Virginia, not that part. Sorry.
But no, he was signing the checks. He was managing the show. He was in every meeting. He was in her dressing room. He was with her every minute of the day when he wasn't with his hoe, who he now has a child with. Hey, she had to go somewhere to get the hell away from him to call a divorce attorney and say, all right, how do we get this fucker locked up?
Yeah, really.
And that's her second divorce. Her first divorce, she done classy. She sent his ass off to work. She called into the studio, said, I can't make it in. I'm a little sick, played sick for him, and then called a moving company to pack his shit up and take it to a storage building.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I will definitely say she is a creative thinker.
Yeah, she wrote the handbook on how to get rid of useless husbands.
Basically, 101 Ways to Leave Your Lover. She's done most of them. But
I mean, great lovers. I'm sorry, she's got the title for men. Well, she's got a taste. She likes that thug life. It's all understood.
Yeah, well, but still, you got to know how to get rid of them.
I always plan the divorce the day you move them in.
Basically.
Yep.
But I mean, I give her points for creativity. She is not. And I think maybe this is some of the problem. Or like the Wendy Williams image problem is. She is not, she is not the next Betty White.
No.
Like, I'm just going to tell you now, she is not the next Betty White. She can live to 99. She's not the next Betty White.
Mm-mm.
Like, she's pissed some people off.
Daily.
Daily.
Her breathing pisses people off.
She is not beloved. Exactly. Like,
I debate that one because she is beloved.
Her fans love her.
Mm-hmm.
She is truly beloved by her fans. Not Betty White beloved. Like, who says bad things about Betty White? What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, she is not, meek, mild-mannered. She is not, just, strong-willed.
Oh, she's strong-willed.
I mean, she's basically like a weird combo of like Lucille Ball and Judy Garland just slammed into each other.
Well, there's another one that's in that mix, and I got to go find her. I think it's Gloria Estefan. No, it isn't. Who sung Respect?
Aretha Franklin?
Yes.
Okay.
If you ever watched some of Aretha Franklin's internal stuff, if you ever watched, like, she used to demand to be paid in cash. Like, I show up to perform. I want that $7 million in cash. Thank you. It goes in my purse. Have a good day. There is no checks. There is no credit cards. I want greenback, baby.
Yep. Understandable. I mean, there are those people. But it's still.
And then, oh God.
Oh, how big is this blender?
No, this blender isn't that big.
Okay. So Lucille Ball, Judy Garland, Aretha Franklin,
Tina Turner, and then the broadcaster from the 70s.
The broadcaster from the 70s. What?
This is where she got her style from.
Okay, what? Oprah?
No. From the
okay.
70s, honey.
I'm sorry, I wasn't alive then. Sips I will take.
Uh-huh.
Hi, Brenda. If you're watching this, this is me in my last words before I was murdered. Live on Making a Murderer.
I am not going to be murdering you.
I know. I'm just giving you crap.
You standardly do, but that's okay.
Yes. Always. Can't help it. Oh, I feel like we lost Jade, who has not asked a question with the date of birth. So
possibly.
We're sorry, Jade.
Oh. There we go. Jane
right.
Kennedy.
Jane Kennedy?
Mm-hmm.
Who? Hold on, I'm hitting the Google myself. Jane Kennedy.
Jayne Kennedy replaced Philip George on the NFL Today in 1978 to become the first African-American female host to the network broadcast.
Jesus, she had a career. Or has a career. God, sorry. I guess she's still there. Sorry, I misspoke. So yeah. Okay. So she's done a lot.
Yeah.
Like, we're just gonna
go.
But
that's where she gets her style from. If you listen to Wendy Williams host a show, which is different than her comedy special, which is different than her books, you can hear Jane Kennedy's lingo in there. It's like if you listen to me and you go listen to Sylvia Brown, I'm a little bit harsher and a little bit bitchier, but I get a lot of my style from her.
Okay. But no, I mean, so yeah, there's your blender. But no, I mean, so she's got a lot of different aspects to her.
Right, but it's a carefully created persona. It's like Dolly Parton. You can't tell me Dolly at home is different than Dolly on stage. I think she's vastly different.
And I don't know how much different though. I mean, I do think part of it is like a heightened version of herself. I'll give you that. I would say, you know, Wendy Williams at home isn't Wendy Williams on air. I would hope not. Otherwise, you know, that's a lot. That's like a lot of a lot. But no, it's just still though trying to figure out like where like, you know, how much of it is the outward face, how much of it is the real person.
Well, from what I've heard, she's a very evil businesswoman. Like, she will go in and nail contracts. I mean, she nailed her ex-husband to the wall.
Yeah, I know that I totally get. And that's kind of what I'm saying though, is, and then there's the whole, like, the issues that she has.
Right.
Which typically for me, I don't know if anyone else has caught it, but when you see someone who has a shit ton of issues, and they're a celebrity, I often wonder if that's because there's such a vast difference between the person that everyone knows, the celebrity, and then the person they are when they are by themselves. Like, if that's where the problem is.
What's scaring me in this case, and Emily Baker covered it, is the section of the regulatory corporation that they're recording from. The bank can freeze your funds at any time for any reason. You had neck surgery. They could have frozen Mystic's accounts until you proved your clemency.
Well, yeah, until I could walk my happy butt into a bank or get driven over there.
No, into a competency hearing.
Oh, well, yeah. No, arguably, yes. And honestly, I think a lot of this is rebounding out of elder abuse, point blank, like or adult financial abuse situations in which you set off that bank's spidey senses. I do think there's problems with that. That, you know, I don't think my financial advisor is the best arbitrator of my mental health and, you know, my life circumstance. And, you know, and in the interim, you are shutting someone off from their, in the entirety of their finances. At least at that financial institution. I don't know where the rest of, or what the rest of her finances are. Or if this is like she's got all of her eggs in one bastard, to borrow a Dorothy Parker quote, of Wells Fargo. And
well, according to updated February 1, net worth is $40 million. They're holding $7 million of it hostage.
So yeah, theoretically, like at least good enough financial planning that she is not completely cut off from her finances, unless that's all the liquid. Like we run into this sometimes when we're talking about like celebrities and how much they're worth and all that, is people always think that like that $40 million number is like cold hard cash. You can just walk into a bank somewhere and just pull that money. No. Sometimes that's a combination of like what is, you know, her show worth as a business that could be sold. What is her property worth that could be sold? What is her investment portfolio that could be sold worth? What are all these different, you know, fund assets that are not always liquid, generally aren't liquid, because if you've got 40 million and you've got it in cash, either you have a lot more money than 40 million or someone effed up real bad. Because if your entire net worth, once you start getting over $1 million, is just sitting around in cash, that's a problem. That's your money not working for you, like it should be.
Well, you know, and I'm going to advise anybody and everybody: one, keeps in cash. Two, if you got over $1 million, it better not be in one bank, because your FDI insurance is only up to $250,000.
Finally now,
put it all, spread that money around. And I believe it was Brenda that posted something. And I'm telling you, if I ever go into the bank and they tell me I can't have $10 out of my account, we're gonna have a new bank before midnight.
Yeah. That would be a moment. But no, and granted, again, like there are some instances where you could have a bank have legitimate concern over like what a customer is doing, as to how a customer is approaching the situation, if they look like they're being induced somehow, like they're sitting there with their phone on, being given instructions as to what to do and what to say. Like those are reasons I'm more than comfortable with a bank going, whoa. We're not doing that right now until I understand more of what's going on.
Like, but this sounds like it is a employee that just started Wells Fargo 4 years ago. Before that, they were still working with Wendy Williams for over 15 years. They got fired, and now they're bitter that they got fired. So they're using every tool around to get back at their employer.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that one at this point. Like, this is very strong arm tactic for what seems like a very benign situation. Yeah.
And what's even worse is that they're not accepting her son as her power of attorney. He's the one set to inherit it. He's the one that's got everything on it. That's the problem for me.
More importantly, what I want to know, what's the date on the power of attorney?
Right.
Like, assuming that her lawyer or the lawyer that created that power of attorney isn't going to sit there and fuck around with their law license because Wendy Williams is having a bad day.
Right.
What's the date? And more importantly, there's also not, a notary public that's going to fuck with their commission because, that would also be a big problem if they, lie about the dating of paperwork. What's the date on it?
Exactly.
How long ago was this set up? Like, if you're talking this was done like last week, okay, that's a problem. Right. And I would be there with that bank and be like, that's not pretty. Now, if you're talking about a document that's dated years ago, before anyone even thought about closing these accounts or doing anything with her money or what the fuck ever, or at least as recent as her most recent divorce.
Right.
As long as it's that recent.
Right.
Or that long ago. That all makes sense. This is competent, sound choices people make. What the hell do you have against the son?
Right.
Like, explain it to me like I'm 5, because I'm really not going to understand.
No, because he's 21 years old. He's an legal adult. That's a lot of money. And I'm quite sure his mother taught him how to deal with a penny.
Here's the thing, though, is while, like, I could see a lot of people reacting to he's 21 years old and they're going to give him control over all of our finances. Here's the thing, is I want to check this real quick because something tells me that, so we're talking about Kevin Hunter Jr.?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious. I was just having this moment. He's 21. Come on. Like, he doesn't have a Wikipedia?
Nah. He is not in star business.
Well, but, he could still be in business.
Right. He's in
yeah,
college business.
Okay, well, granted, he is 21, so there is that.
Yeah, he's in college in Florida, which apparently is where his mother's at.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't know what his current net worth is. I was just trying to see if, like...
Right.
Because it's not uncommon for a lot of, celebrity children.
Right.
To also have their own, like, not that mom and dad don't help, but to have their own, mommy and daddy gave me a couple $1 million and I started a company, but hey, it's making me some money. They bought me some property and I get the checks for it, and there's a management company that takes care of everything.
Right.
Like a few $1 million here and there may not be a big deal. Like, it may be like someone else's 21-year-old being handed $500. Like, they're not going to fuck that up, or make a big deal with it.
Right.
I mean, not saying I trust every 21-year-old with like $7 million or even $500 sometimes, but still.
Right. But at the same time, it's baloney. And what I really love his statement, because a lot of the stuff here, he does not normally make comments or posts. He stays out of his mother's business unless he has to deal with stuff. He made a post here about all these rumors, and I have to go find it again because it was a kick-ass post.
Well, I was really liking the comment he made that I saw while I was trying to look him up. Is he has flat out said before that unless she got help, he was out of her life.
Right, and that was when.
That's a mature, responsible fucking adult.
Right.
I don't care what age he was. That's a mature, responsible adult moment. It's
Right.
like, look, I can't be in this nightmare.
Right, and that's when she was trying to
your
go back
shit
to the
together.
talk show, barely walking, barely breathing, suffering from Graves' disease, having a lot of problems in her health, and not taking care of herself.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, this is someone like, I don't think you can argue undue influence on that one. That's like intervention 101.
Right.
Is going, look, I love you and I care about you, but I just can't.
Right.
Go down with the sinking ship you're on.
Right.
Like, I can't do it. I'm not gonna do it. You can't ask me to do it. It is cruel for you to ask me to do that. Like, that's intervention 101. That look at people and say, hi, this is the shit that you're doing to me because of this.
Right.
So you have to pick one.
Right.
Not that I don't love you, not that I don't care about you, not that I, will never be able to care about you again. But while you do that, I can't be there.
Right.
And, choose.
Well, not only that, but that's one of those ones. And I can see it. She is a glorified workaholic. Confirmed workaholic. She has been known to do an 18-hour broadcast, go host a show, and come back and do another one. So yeah, sometimes you have to be stepped up and stepped out, and you go through this. When I get sick, he has to take my cell phone from me, hide my laptop, and close the power off to my office, or I'll just keep working.
Nice. Well, moreover, it's more importantly, it is getting you to that point of like, okay, is it intervention time, or can you make this adult responsible decision on your own to go heal thyself instead of continuing to like do more damage,
right?
Bringing yourself further and further down, so that instead of being sick for a couple of days, you're going to be sick for like a couple of weeks or a couple of months. Like, take it now, do it the easy way.
Right.
Instead of trying to work through it the hard way, and then it becomes an even bigger issue later on. Yeah. Like, sometimes you do have to look at people and go, yeah, see, here's what you're about to do.
Right.
And no, we're not doing that. Like, you can choose to do that. I'm going to have no sympathy for you. And if you want that, you can call your mother. But I'm pretty sure she's just going to have me bring her over to slap you upside the head and say, why didn't you listen the first fucking time?
Yeah.
Like, that's all the sympathy you're getting at that point.
Right. But if this was a national show, international show, syndicated, hello Sirius XM, we're waiting for the contract.
We're international, we're just not syndicated.
Right.
Well, I don't know. Are we?
And you haven't been able to get back to the show the whole season? Oh, honey, you're going to do everything to get back to that show. And that's what she was doing. She was trying to go back early before doctors would clear her to go. And he's like, you're going to take care of yourself, or I'm not going to be here.
Well, yeah, because it does become one of those things. If you are already like, you've pushed yourself too far, and you're going to try to get back up the minute you have the first, like, okay, and you're going to hop back into the hot seat and the hard ass schedule that already knocked you down once. Yeah, no, let's not do that.
Right. In general, Wendy boy has done well for himself. He's continuing to do well, and he's managed all this. He went from being the son, who was just the son, to now having to be, I'm quite sure if she was long-term COVID, he's had to step up and be a caregiver. Maybe he ain't there bringing his mother the orange juice and making sure she eats. Maybe they've had to hire staff.
But whatever, he's managing it. She's
Yes.
not.
Yeah.
Well, and that to be expected in that situation. You can still be
Right.
of sound mind and just like, yeah, your body's exhausted.
You're
Like,
exhausted, Mom.
You can make bad choices.
You're
for
wanting to go
yourself
back to
physically.
the schedule of taping 5 shows a week. You've got business meetings. You've got spotlights. I mean, they had a whole full guest tour booked for her.
Yeah.
And that's like a hell weekend for me, but it's 6 weeks of it.
Yeah. Well, and the reality is here that, like, it's not insane to be a workaholic.
Right.
I mean, hi, we're in the United States. It's fucking a national pastime to be a workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's football and workaholicism.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's all we've got.
Right.
Like, halftime shows and, physical collapse. That's it.
Right.
This is what you got to work with.
Right.
So the fact that she has, through a really strong work ethic, managed to push her body
Mm-hmm.
to the brink of disaster doesn't mean she is mentally incapable. Like,
Right.
I think that would be a clear, because I feel like in talking about this, that one could look at it and go, well, but she also did this.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's very different.
Yeah.
Like, you can push, like, you can make dumb choices.
Right.
Without being mentally incompetent. Like, we
Right.
do it all the
And
time.
furthermore, to be questioning her mental competency because she wants to fire you.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
That's a bit ridiculous. I mean, the further down the rabbit hole I go on this one, the more I'm like, yeah, okay. Oh, hi, Louise. Very lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Louise.
Yeah.
But no, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that a bank should have this authority. It's ridiculous that a bank should even move in this manner.
Well, given the situation, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily wrong exactly.
Right.
I think it needs to be better. I felt like there needs to be a better oversight for this. I get what the process is for.
Right. But this process is being misused. And it's only being used when she is trying to fire a bank.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is that this is being misused, and that always tells me this means this is bad policy. Like, this is a bad process. This doesn't have the controls it ought to have. Like, and it may be found the bank has done technically nothing wrong. Legally speaking, they may not have. Like, they may be full well within their abilities and whatever. But it is a giant red flag of you need, like, we need the government to go breathe down the back of this policy of what the fuck was that? And how do we prevent that situation from ever happening?
And see, they were already doing that with the Britney Spears case.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're trying to do it again with Wendy Williams. Like, they lost control of one billionaire. They're now going after another billionaire. Come the hell on.
Is this the same bank from the Britney thing?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Like, they just can't lose enough, can they?
No.
Like, goddamn Wells Fargo.
Like, Wells Fargo has been added to my list of I will not bank with you.
Yeah, no, I think we're good there.
With trust. I will never bank with Trust or Trist
Truist,
or whatever their name. Truist.
Yeah, or whatever the hell it is. I can't remember. Like, how many times did these banks have to change names? Like,
often as their reputation gets ruined. That's how. Watch, Wells Fargo will go change names here soon.
Meanwhile, I'm the idiot. I'm still calling them Branch Banking and Trust because that's what I know. BB&T was just a stupid acronym as far as I'm concerned. Because what am I supposed to call you? The Bibbit?
Right.
I don't feel comfortable with my money reminding me of a frog. I'm going to the Bibbit.
They handled it like they were a frog.
I trust frogs more.
Okay.
Like, sorry, I expected Kermit the Frog. I got Pepe.
Uh-huh.
Like,
But,
that was my Bibbit experience.
And we deal with Wells Fargo as a cross vendor. They are not my bank of choice. My main network banks with them. And we have trouble out of their deposits almost every holiday in the International Space Center.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's effectively for every holiday and God forbid the end of the year. Is we just assume that one, like, here's our end of the year plan. Okay. It's see if we can, how much money we can get into the account before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we know is Thanksgiving is already going to be screwy enough. And then we're going to get back on track somewhere around the beginning of December. And then somewhere towards the later third of December, we never know when, no more money till the beginning of the new year, sometime around the 5th or 6th.
Right.
Like, we're sorry, the bank is closed. Like, the network is processing payments. They're stacking up at the closed bank to then be sent over to our bank that is reasonably closed for some holidays.
But their computer systems still work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Lewis, I totally agree. I believe in the mattress and trust. We personally have our own Moose and Squirrel banking and etceteras.
Yes. We do have a few banks in the house. But no, still, it's one of those things, like, I'm not all about the let's pull all of our money out of banks, and just go back to the bank of mattress and box spring. Mostly because they quit making box springs.
Mm-hmm.
But additionally,
my favorite institution to bank with is the Bank of Frigidaire. Lovely interest rate. Gives you your money within 24 hours.
But no, I'm not there. Like, I try to have decent trust in banks. Like, and I know that's a big change over the span of, like, my grandparents to me. Because you got to realize, my grandparents legit were born before the Great Depression. And, like, they saw this firsthand, close up. They were not really strong banky people.
Right.
Like, they put their money in a bank always expecting to lose it all.
Right.
So, like, they had some backup plans.
Right.
They were a product of their time and generation. Now, I'm not saying that I trust every bank explicitly to infinity and beyond. I'm not there. But I would be absolutely furious in Wendy's situation, because I expect to at least be told, where's my money? What is my money? And for, if you're going to tell me I can't access it, you need to give me very legitimate reasons why. And then when I resolve your issue, you need to make those funds available immediately. Or I can tell you right now, like, you will get the full weight of my parents and grandparents descending upon your local branch manager.
Well, here's the thing, and this is the reason we deal with such a small little bank. Like, I found other ways to deal with international funds and stuff like that. But I love our little small bank because I can pick up the phone and yell at somebody. And if I ain't happy with her, I'll show up in her office.
But more importantly, we always make sure to ask, am I related to you by any chance?
You'll deal with that. Mrs. Arrington can just take care of it for you.
Oh, well, there you go. No, sorry, it's a thing that happened to me. Like, there was a story in our family for years from one of my aunts about, you just don't yell at people when things go wrong, because you never know when you're going to run into someone that knows someone who knows your mama. And then you're going to go talk to your mama, who's going to tell you all about how much of an ass you made of yourself and embarrassment of her.
Having met my mother?
Well, like, your mileage may vary. Now, I turn around and, awkward family reunions, my ass. It almost became an awkward funeral. My dad died, and we started hearing from a cousin of ours that that he was coming to the funeral and he was going to beat my ass. And we're sitting here going, him? What the hell is going on? We never got to the end of the story, just to find out what had happened was a ginormous misunderstanding. See, the last time I yelled at our current bank was back in 1990 something. Okay? It was 97, 98. I got very mad because my money went missing. I made a deposit, night deposit box. I expected my funds.
Birthday, honey. We got to keep the lawyers happy.
Yes. Well, and I'll wrap this up and then we'll get your question. But I did a deposit to the night deposit box. I expected that would go through, no problem, not a thing. And then, my money had not gone through 2 weeks later. And I showed up at the bank and went, where's my money? I made a deposit. Where's my money? They didn't show a deposit. So I lost my temper in the drive-thru, where at this particular branch, you could not quite see which teller you were talking to. And I proceeded to go in the bank and raise all holy hell, and they figured out the problem, and turns out they had let go an employee who was responsible for night deposit, and they had forgotten to check night deposit for quite a while. There were quite a few angry customers. Now, flash forward. A decade and change later, my father dies. We're trying to figure out what the hell's gone on. We finally find out that the person that was working that particular teller window that day was the daughter of the cousin now threatening to kill me, who had gone home and thought she had laughingly talked about how, all those times they thought I was just so nice that turns out I have the Arrington family temper. Mm-hmm. She thought it was funny and hilarious and had completely forgotten about it, only to find out years later her father had misunderstood that and was quite angry that I had upset his daughter and cussed her out. Mm-hmm. And so, as a good West Virginia man, he was going to beat my ass. Understandably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know people you don't know.
Well, Mrs. Arrington can yell at your bank all you want, and he will have an enjoyable time doing it.
True. Fair enough. Oh, my life experience is hilarious. I've learned this. I just can't win for losing.
Yeah, you can. You just got to learn how to play the lose. All right, Louis, honey, we need your birthday. I have to make lawyers happy.
Yes, Louise. Month, day, and year.
All right. So while we wait for that, I understand there's a Windows 11 update finally.
Oh, yes. Oh, and it's the good one. So Windows 11's first big update arrives with Android apps, taskbar changes, and more. So it's currently being released through Windows Update. Today, which as of this article was literally today. So yeah, it's the first big update to Windows 11, including a lot of new features. So yeah, the biggest changes are apparently related to the taskbar. And the time and date will finally be available on multiple monitors in Windows 11, something that was missing at launch. The weather widget also returns to the taskbar in this update, and a new mute unmute feature in the taskbar will be available for Microsoft Teams calls. You'll also be able to quickly screen share a specific app or window from the taskbar directly into a Microsoft Teams call. They've also redesigned Windows Media Player and Notepad. Good God, they've redesigned Notepad. Holy hell. We'll never figure it out again.
I hope they haven't fucked up because I write code in it too often.
I know, we've been living in Notepad for decades, guys. Like, it has barely changed from like Windows 3 point anything. Maybe even 1.1. I don't know. So anyway, so yeah, there's some other new features, and then finally it looks like they're getting the Android apps that they had made a big to-do about.
Mm-hmm.
And the new features for Notepad are multi-step undo, an improved search interface, and dark mode support.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Oh, thank God. The Media Player app is designed to replace Groove Music and Windows Media Player, and includes support for both audio and video, and a design that better matches Windows 11. Cool. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. All right, let's hop into the question.
Louise. All right, Louise 5582. I would love to ask a question, if possible, please, about seeing if the close male around me is distrustful and possibly stealing. I can't seem to trust my intuition on this, as it is close and personal.
Take a look here.
And that makes perfect sense, Louise. We got you.
All right. I feel like you're in a weird juxtaposition with this one. With the High Priestess popping up, teamed up with the Seven of Wands, and the Two of Wands, you're trying to figure out which way to go. You also have emotional attachments. And we have the Ace of Coins showing here. Is he stealing? No. Do I feel like he can be distrustful at times? Yeah, because he avoids arguments. He tries to hold on to stuff for too long. And with the King of Coins here, you've got to remember to be the diplomat. I.e., see that when he's trying to avoid an argument versus lying. Trying to avoid an argument is like leaving out the Paul Harvey rest of the story.
No, that's not a pointed comment towards his co-host. Not at all.
And, being totally dishonest is totally outright lying. So do I think he's trustworthy? Yeah. Do I think he's stealing? No. Do I think that there's a Paul Harvey to this all? Yes. All right.
Paul Harvey is sometimes a good person to just leave on the side of the road. Like, that's what I think. Like, sometimes it's like, yeah, I could get into the 400 things that went wrong, and you're going to get all emotionally involved in it and want to go beat someone's ass. At the end of the day, everyone got where they needed to be going. There was no property damage, no insurance claims were filed, and everyone's still alive.
That's debatable. Because there's been some people that almost got left at the end of the road.
Hey, I'm just saying. I don't need murder to feel loved.
Debatable. Highly debatable on if that's one of my needs or not.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So I'm not taking your needs into consideration. Maybe you need to commit a murder in order for you, like, that's your love language, and I'm not letting you express yourself. What the hell? Um,
I didn't told you my love language.
money. Diamonds. Property.
Adoration, totally. Okay. So to our favorite segment of the show that Joe has added in, and I think everyone is loving it.
Oh, yeah.
Are you the asshole? And this one's interesting.
Yes, in just 1 second, I gotta figure out where my window is. Because right now I can't get to it. Oh, wait, there it is. I was staring right at it. Good God, today. So yeah, there we go. Making sure that's the right one. All right. Am I the asshole for getting mad that, oh, come on. Come on, Reddit. Like, whatever you're doing, just stop. Ugh. All right, we're going to see what we can do with this one. Am I the asshole for getting mad that my wife wanted to serve me plain pasta for dinner? I, husband, usually make all of the meals in the household. I told my wife I was going to make dinner tonight, but she said she was planning to. Okay, that's fine. So I go back to work on my laptop. She comes into the room and I ask her what she's making, and she says leftover roast chicken and spaghetti. Oh, you're going to make it with sauce? No, she says, just plain spaghetti. Okay, so why wouldn't you make some sauce for it? No one eats just plain spaghetti. And she says, sure, you can just eat it. What's wrong with eating plain spaghetti? I told her to do whatever, but I wouldn't serve her just plain spaghetti noodles. So I know it seems like maybe a dumb thing to get upset about, but she insisted on making dinner. By making dinner, she intended to warm up the roast chicken, which we got from Costco, and warm up the noodles, which were actually left over when I made us chicken carbonara. I was further frustrated because a few days ago, she agreed to make dinner while I spent the afternoon and early evening cleaning out the garage. The task wouldn't have allowed me time to prepare dinner. I entered the house tired and extremely hungry. It turns out she made food for herself and the kids, but she had planned for me to eat the leftover spaghetti with sauce and chicken I had made the day before. It was still in the fridge and in the container, and I opened it to heat it up, and there was like barely any pasta in there for a kid's meal, which meant I had to now prepare dinner for myself when I was already tired and hungry. She said she thought there had been more in the container. I did get upset and told her I wouldn't serve her plain noodles, because when I make meals for her, I try my best to make something she'd like to eat all the time, because I take pride in that. I told her it was insulting because it's like telling someone you'll make them pizza, but you just serve them the crust. I don't know. That's not pizza, is it? I tried to have her see she wouldn't serve her own sister plain spaghetti, but she insisted she would have. No problem with that. I honestly don't believe that. I told her that would be embarrassing. I can't tell whether she's being serious that she believes it's acceptable to serve people plain spaghetti, or she's digging in her heels because she won't admit she was just being lazy. To add, 1, I got mad at my wife for serving me plain spaghetti noodles for dinner. 2, not sure if I should accept her belief that it's okay and socially acceptable to serve people plain spaghetti noodles for dinner, or if she is just being lazy and I should take it to be insulting behavior on her part. Do I need to be more understanding? Am I the asshole? I'll let you go first.
He's not the asshole.
See, now that's where the comments get fun.
Okay.
There's a lot of questioning of, like, this might be a forest and trees malfunction. That maybe he is the asshole, but not over this. And it's like, what did you do? Because your wife seems mad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this seems very, like, passive-aggressive.
Right.
On one hand. Or it's like, I feel like I'm supposed to make dinner, but I really don't want to.
Right.
You know, I don't, but no, I think ultimately I have to go with the wife's the asshole.
Yeah.
Like,
Wife's the
that's
asshole
just-
for two reasons. One,
Okay.
he had already planned on dinner. Most likely, he shopped for dinner. He brought dinner home. He put it in the refrigerator. He had plans to make dinner. She isn't even trying to make him dinner. She didn't try to make him dinner to begin with. She didn't. The first time, when he went and cleaned out the garage and said, you can do this or we can order pizza. I can't do both.
Yeah. Like, figure out a dinner plan.
Right.
I mean, that's where my biggest issue is, like, why? And I think that's where a lot of other people are with this one, is like, but why?
Right.
Like, it doesn't sound like they're financially suffering.
Nope.
Like, as in, like, if you're that lazy that
Right.
you're just going to boil water, like, not even boil water, like, you're just planning on eating, like, him heating up leftover noodles.
Right.
Like, that he made.
Yeah. You know,
Why?
and this is something that, and this is something I don't get. I personally don't get.
Mhm.
It was up to very recently that you started having leftovers.
Okay.
For dinner.
Yeah. Like, typically we clear out most of the things we make, or freeze them,
or freeze them or whatever, but normally dinner is always a fresh meal. Up until recently, he finally convinced me that he's okay with leftovers.
Yeah, I don't, like, that's where I was sitting here struggling with. Like, you're making it sound like I'm that guy, and I'm like, I'm so not that guy.
I
Like,
know, but
like, y'all don't understand. I will eat cold lasagna out of a 9x13 in my underwear over the sink. I am not that guy.
no, he isn't. He is totally not that guy. I'm that guy. I will make sure my husband has a good meal on the table because I promise you, ladies, a good meal on the table will keep him at least happy.
Well, yeah. Well, in general, like, for most human beings, a good meal will keep you happy. And it's one thing to be like, no, we're doing leftovers. Like, grab the lasagna from the other night, like, whatever, the spaghetti, the whatever. That's one plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I can accept, like, there's, like, you know, oops, I effed up, and maybe that was her situation. But, like, it wasn't even that. It's like, you were just like, yeah, there's plain noodles. Eat that.
See, and that's that's the part I don't get about this posting, because those plain noodles can be done a lot with. You can add some of that pledge stuff you like.
Pesto. It has a name. It's not pledge. I'm not using cleaning products. Like, I am not
Debatable.
that guy either.
You are too
debatable.
using cleaning products.
This is how much he hates pine nuts, guys. He confuses it for pine salt. So moving right along.
Okay.
Pine salt, pine nuts, same
you
thing.
You can do that garlic butter that I love doing on pasta, and then topping it with some real meat and adding a nice half and half cream sauce to it. Not that technically hard. Like the invisible assistant whose champion food is pork chops could have done that meal.
Well, but moreover, like, one, it's like, but she made food for herself and the kids.
Right. One night.
Well, no, that night. But
no,
she had only
he's talking
planned...
about two different nights.
Okay.
One night is when he was cleaning out the garage and said, I don't have time to do dinner. You can either cook dinner or we can order something up at the garage to get
Oh, yeah. So basically twice he was going to end up with the plain noodles thing. And like, he's not. And I don't get it. Like, I'm not saying like you're a weirdo if you eat plain noodles, like nothing on them, just the noodle. Like you boil it and here's your noodle. I'm not saying you're weird if you do that. If that's your thing, that's your thing. Like, go with it. But generally speaking, that's not everyone's thing.
Right.
Like, that's just not normal. Like, that's not a common thing. Let's go with that. That's not common.
No.
Most people use noodles as a carrier for something.
Exactly.
Butter.
Sauce. Open a can. I'm quite sure this gentleman has, if he's made carbonaro, then there is a can of tomato sauce in there. You throw some Italian seasoning into it. You saute some garlic. You throw some mushrooms on it. It takes 10 minutes.
Moreover, you had every opportunity when he offered to cook.
Exactly.
It, like, unless there's a whole other argument going on, he forgot to mention. In which it's like, also, I recently told my wife she's a lazy bitch and doesn't fucking cook or help around the house. Right. Then I would understand, like, why she's doing this. Like, this is passive aggressive, and, like, you brought this on yourself, though. Right. Like, see that, like, that I could follow. And then it's like, yeah, he's the asshole. But, like, just randomly, it's like, I don't know, like, I can't get inside her head to understand what this is if there's not already a problem.
Right.
And yeah, like, I'm there, like, spaghetti noodles with meat and maybe some butter. That's a meal. Plain spaghetti is just a little odd.
Well, not only that, but
like,
it's not
preheated plain spaghetti at that.
Yeah, at that. And, so yes, she's the asshole in multiple directions. I don't know if she doesn't know how to cook. It kind of sounds like it. So yeah, cooking classes and books are in order. If she can, then she's the asshole. So she fed the kids, but not him. She sounds upset with him. Still the asshole. I don't care how mad I am at that co-host right there. He gets dinner. It may not be the most quietest cooking moment ever. The Google is on 10 and I don't want to play house is blasting at 11.
But then again, like, that was the other night and it was just because you couldn't get Google to play anything else. Like, Google was locked into, we're having a fight tonight. And it's like, no, Google, no, we're not. Like, yeah. I don't know what's wrong with Google. Maybe it thinks you're on a period. Yeah. But you do not currently want to murder your husband. Please find a different playlist.
Yes.
Like, I think the algorithm had a moment.
Well, I'm finding that the algorithm is having a few moments. So now I've started telling it exactly what I want to hear. And it seems to be working. Right now I'm on Nickelback, but, it'll switch probably tomorrow.
There you go. But no, I just don't, like, like, I find the TikToks and stuff where, like, people are like, what do you want for dinner? And they're pissed at their spouse and they say, I don't know. So they write, I don't know on a sheet of paper and they cook it and serve it on a plate. I think that's funny. I think any spouse in the middle of an argument would find that shit funny. Like, you can't not laugh at that. Like, it, like, no matter how ticked you are. But that's not plain spaghetti and, like, a legitimate thought that, that's a meal.
Right.
Like, that's just confusing. Like, what the hell are you supposed to get from that? Other than, like, I'm with him.
Yeah.
Like, I would just be staring at you like, do we need to talk about something, or did you have a stroke?
Have you had a stroke?
What's wrong with your brain? Because this don't make no kind of sense.
Well, I know what my response would be. My response would be, okay, we're going to omelet shop, kids. Enjoy your plain spaghetti.
Yeah, I would be down for that. Like, you want plain spaghetti, you have plain spaghetti. Like, you eat that right on up. Right. I'm not eating that.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I just, I don't really I've never really understood using food as like an arguing technique. Like, I think that's really stupid.
Right. Well,
like, not like denying someone a meal, fucking with their food. Like, those are things like, no. See, that's not how you communicate. Like, I like, we joke about the fact the whole salad thing. That's more funny. And Brenda's like, I wouldn't laugh at that. The I don't know, fried up in a pan, served on a plate. I would find, like, I would have to stop and laugh at that moment. I would just have to have it. But oh yeah, see, that's the kind of, like, no. Like, no. So the comment here is, my husband will add hot sauce to things and claim he forgot I was eating it too. Yeah, no. See, no, I think that's some passive aggressive bullshit. And you're fucking with someone's food. Don't fuck with people's food. Like, I'm sorry, how are you supposed to have trust in a relationship if you're willing to give, like, prepare for me food is going to cause me problems?
Right.
Oh, but then again, I guess all's fair in love and war. Joke's on him. I know which hot sauce gives him the poops, and add it when his back is turned. So, yeah, spy versus spy.
That's okay. Here's a counteraction to it. Lemon juice, vinegar, or wine, or a dash of tomato.
See, but here's my thing, though, is I find out someone's pulling that stunt on me, I'm just not eating what you're cooking.
No, I'm talking about the hot sauce.
Oh, yeah, the hot sauce specifically. Well, but even at that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, you fuck with my food, we just lost a level of trust in our relationship to where, I'm not eating shit you prepare. Like, don't care what it is, don't care how good it smells, don't care how good it looks, I'm just not eating it. Like, like, and more importantly, if I've lost that level of trust, that, like, we're down to, like, someone stealing my food at the office, we're gonna, play games. Yeah, I'm I'm going to, see myself out of that situation as quickly as I can. Because I'm sorry, that's like a level of trust I think people should have. But yeah.
Yeah, and then also, of course, with anything too salty, you add a little sugar. Anything too sweet, you add a little salt.
I mean, but then again, like, we're talking about, like, solutions for things that, like, you just did a little too much when you were cooking it. Not, I'm explicitly trying to make you suffer while eating this.
Right.
Because I know I can handle it, but you can't. That's fucking.
But again, that's bullshit. That's like me cooking with sriracha all the time. I don't cook with sriracha. I put it on mine. Now, I have made things too spicy for you here lately. I don't know what the hell's up. It just is what it is.
Yeah, but I don't feel like you're fucking with my food.
No, I'm cooking it. It just isn't hitting your taste buds right.
Right. And that happens, and there are those moments. But no, like at the point in which you're getting confirmation, oh, I forgot you were eating it.
Bullshit. You're making dinner.
Yeah, no. No, see, that's fucking with someone's food. Don't fuck with people's foods. Like, no. Because I'm sorry, here's my problem with that. Is like, I have problems with aloe. Massive problems with aloe. There's a lot of things that have aloe in them. So my problem with, if you will fuck with people's food to make them uncomfortable, that worries me, because would you fuck with food to the point that you start adding things I'm allergic to? Because like, that's not just being passive aggressive anymore. That's called attempted murder.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't screw with people's food.
You don't screw with people's food. You don't. And you take pride in it. That's why, like, I have a weird rule. Nobody's allowed to cook in my kitchen but me. I don't want to find no other boy in my kitchen.
There you go. But yeah. So apparently we should check out the YouTube show Hot Ones. They do interviews while eating hot wings with specialty sauces. The hubby uses those sauces, and I'm just, no. Yeah, see, I just have never been able to do a lot of spicy. Like, you can revoke my man card all you want. I don't care. Because after I watch two coworkers at a Firehouse Subs play the who can handle the hottest sauce, and I still haven't decided whether he was the winner or the loser, or maybe both. But when I watch an adult man become delirious and spontaneously cry with no control, because these aren't like tears being generated as like part of sadness or emotion, but literally like the seizure of a fucking gland because of the level of spice they have just ingested, and then vomiting uncontrollably. See, I don't think that's a game. I think that's just stupidity with food. And it's like, I like my food. I like eating my food.
Right. Well, Brenda, you know, my dad used to make for breakfast gravied peas. I still have I have a problem with peas. Not gravy, but peas gravied is never a good thing.
Yeah, it took a long time before you would even eat peas.
Yeah.
Like, you were horrified by the idea. Now, I will say my dad fucked one up for me. You will never see me. Like, it's a cry for help, is what I'll tell you. If you see me eating chipped beef on toast, it's a cry for help. You just call 911.
Well, I'm going to say this. You're going to have to take longer steps for that. One, I don't buy chipped beef. My husband don't like it. I ain't buying it. It ain't in the house.
I'm just saying, if you see me in public and I'm ordering chipped beef on toast, I am sending you a message
that he's being held hostage.
911. There is a massive problem. Like, you will not be wrong. I've ordered chipped beef on toast. The world is upside down. Why? Because the other unfortunate name for this is shit on a shingle. And my dad dearly loved calling it that. And then he found out that, like, he could manipulate me into, because I tried multiple times to eat this, to the point that I finally gave up, because every time I tried to make it, like, I would make my plate and I'm going to eat it. He said that, and now I can't. Like, I can't get it out of my head. And then he did that so much, I just, nope, it's dead food to me. It does not exist. Doesn't exist. Nope, never gonna have it.
Yeah. But no, I don't buy chipped beef. I don't use the dehydrated beef. There's a 1930s recipe I've been wanting to try, and I have to wait for Joe to go out of town. But
you can make it around me, but there's no chance in hell I'm eating it.
Yeah.
Like, hell, I will make it for you.
No, honey, you will not. It's like you won't cook steak for me either.
What? Well, that's exhaustion of trying to cook steaks. Like, Dad went through a thing.
I just want them blue. You just got to put it in there, heat it up.
Well, on the bright side, never mind. We're not even getting into that one. There's no value.
But anyhow, point being is you don't fuck with a man's food, especially when he's working. Like, that's rule one. So wife is ruled the asshole. Yeah. Secondly, husband should really consider padlocks in his kitchen.
Either that or just a permanent, like, no matter what she says, you're cooking dinner.
Yeah.
Like, it's a cute idea that you could share that responsibility, but obviously
you can't.
not. So just work around it. Just, nope, I cook meals.
Yep.
Like, plan for it, set up around it, just determine that
and
is
meal
what
plan
you do now.
So that on the days you don't feel like cooking, there's easy food.
Yeah. Or go ahead and make that, pizza budget.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
pizza,
just if you're gonna,
pizza, Chinese. Well, heck, Chinese is really easy to cook. Which, by the way, guys, there will be a video coming out. I don't think it's this week. I think this week is Aeson's Q&As on love. Next week's video will probably be me doing a slow roasted chicken and how to do that, because it's so simple. And we've started doing it. And actually, I found it's a large budget savings to just buy the whole chicken, shred it up. I use it for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's really, really good.
Yeah. You've liked it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which,
and cheap. So cheap.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Cheap.
Yeah.
Because how much are those little chickens again? Like $3.50?
$3.50. I think I get 2 of them for $6. They're in the oven all night. I don't have to bother them. Pop them out, cool them down, shred them up, and I've got shredded chicken for everything. And I'm not buying 3 bags of chicken. Because
and it's better
the recipes that say use chicken breast, you can use any form of chicken.
Yeah, it really needs to nondescriptly say, add chicken to this quantity.
Right.
Whatever it is.
Right. Also, I got to cook something different tonight, and the next time we do it, I'll film it for you guys. Whiting. And power greens.
Yes.
Made some delicious power greens. Pictures on my Instagram. Those recipes will probably be coming out for our Patreon soon.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to give them the bread recipe?
I can't give them bread recipe because it isn't mine, but it's Frugal Fit Woman's bread recipe, and I will probably send that over to the baristas.
Yes, because the bread was awesome.
Oh, I'm glad you're loving it. Finally found a bread recipe you like.
I know, I have to be picky.
Oh, we don't want to get into picky.
Oh, but come on, this is probably the easier bread recipe, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's just longer. Like, I have to plan ahead of 2 days.
It's longer, but it's easier.
Right.
Like, it works out.
It works out. But, while we're talking about this, guys, remember to like wherever you're watching this at. Subscribe to that channel. If you're on any other social medias, please follow me. I'm Aeson Knight, AESONKANGHT. You get daily videos. We're going to be upping some daily stuff going out. I always get appointments. Of course, you can go to PCSPnetwork.com and get instant access to me and a lot of really great benefits by joining our Patreon. Our Patreons support us. They support what we're doing. Their role is going to become even more valuable with this crap going on with TikTok, and this crap going on with Facebook and Instagram, because if it applies to Facebook, it applies to Instagram, and all the other. So that means that you guys need to be on my YouTube. Oh, power greens, yes. Sauteed with mushrooms and fine garlic and onion.
Like we didn't know. It was amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, of course, we want to thank our supporters: Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Ashley Gist, Shannon C, Shannon D, the ever wonderful Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, and Dottie the Psychic. If you'd like to learn more about the show, about us, or if you too would like to become one of our wonderful Patreon supporters and become one of our baristas, please visit us at PCSPnetwork.com.
Yes. All right, guys. You guys have a magical evening. Lady Gwen is on tomorrow night with Divination Night. I believe Dottie has a live stream. And then, of course, we'll be back Friday with Mountain Bears. And who knows what we'll be talking about, because we're always covering the top hits.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So until then, good night, y'all. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. Pass us along. We don't mind being passed along.
Exactly.
This is a calm before the storm. You know what's coming, so be warned. You can't stop me now.